guys, big welcome to Ottawa Senators franchise here. This is episode number 7. Now, the last two episodes didn't have commentary. I apologize for that. There's a couple reasons for that I will get to. And then I have some explaining to do for what route I'm going to take for the remainder of this series. In this episode today, we've got 3 games we're going to go over, where you've got the Flyers at home, at Buffalo, and then at Detroit. And then next episode will be against the Montreal Canadiens. So we're starting off here with the Philadelphia Flyers, who are having a good start to the season at 10-5-3. And Carter Hart will be in goal for them today. We go with our backup, Anders Nilsson. Disregard the record. The records are messed up. That is not an accurate record for Anders Nilsson. He has not played that many games. So I don't know what's up with that. NHL continues to screw that up. Leave it to EA Sports to not iron out details like that. Anyway, Travis Konecny gets the Flyers on the board first in this one. And here comes Ottawa. So while these highlights are playing of this first game here, I just want to go over the direction I'm going to take this series. The last couple of episodes, I've been working on the sliders for the game. I'm getting them closer and closer to where I want them to be, and I'm doing that as the season goes rather than wasting a lot of time before the season getting sliders set and then being behind schedule, the schedule that I want to be on. So we've just been playing the games. Some of them have looked very lopsided, very strange numbers, statistics-wise, especially shots by the CPU have been way out of whack. And so I've been working on the sliders to try to bring that into a more normal frame. And getting very, very much closer, actually. And so the reason that the last couple of episodes were voiceless is it's number one, it's getting increasingly difficult for me to be able to do commentary. My wife is home 4 days a week, and my little girl is she's more mobile now. She's crawling, so she's all over the place, and she's very noisy. Even when she's happy, she just likes to yell and pretend like she's singing and all that kind of stuff. So it's getting harder and harder for me to do commentary during the days. I like to do it at night sometimes, but I can't, it's hard to get too animated and wake everybody in the house up, so I have to try to be quiet, which is tough, and then it's not as exciting, and it doesn't have a feel of realism that way. The other reason that I'm going to not do commentary in this series, and don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm not going to do commentary at all. I'll go over that in a second. There'll be we'll talk about it in a second. But the second reason is I'm having a hard time, particularly in this hockey series, of reading the players' names, and I don't know them off the top of my head for most teams by number. I recognize their names if I hear them, but I can't tell you who they are by number. Very many players, anyway, in the NHL. Even though I watch it all the time, for whatever reason, numbers aren't sticking in my head in the NHL. I don't know why, and I'm horrible with numbers anyway. So let's go over what I'm going to do. So I'm going to break this series down. There's going to be a couple types of episodes in this series. As you see Ottawa get on the board here, Artem Anisimov ties the game up at 3. And we're heading towards the end of the third. Actually, let's pay attention here to the end of the third and the finish of this game, and then I'll go over my plan for the remainder of this series. It will also go for my Minnesota Timberwolves NBA 2K20 series as well. So 5:27 to go in the third here. We are all tied up at 3, and that is the end of regulation. We end up in overtime against the Flyers here at home at Canadian Tire Center in Canada, Ontario. Here's Chris Tierney back out to the point to DeMello. DeMello over to Bobby Ryan, back to Tierney. His shot is saved by Hart, and here come the Flyers. This is JVR, James Van Riemsdyk, and he's going to skate it behind the net, center it back out in front. Save made by Anders Nilsson. with a minute 48 to go in the overtime. Offensive zone faceoff won by the Flyers. It is deflected into the corner. JVR pulls it out, back out to the point to Couturier, I believe. I believe that was Couturier. And it's dug out of the corner by Ron Hainsey, and it looks like the Sens are going to have a breakaway. It's Bobby Ryan, and Ryan's shot is saved by Hart. So we end up in the shootout, and Michael Bodker with the game on his stick right here facing Hart, and he scores, and that is your game in the shootout. The Senators get the win here at home by way of the shootout. It's our first shootout victory of the season. And again, the shots are way out of whack because my sliders are not where I want them to be just as of yet. 63 total shots for the Flyers, 38 for us. Way too many shots in the game. That's 100 shots in the game, and that's just too many. It did go to overtime, though, so we'll give it that. All right, game number 20, we're on the road at the Buffalo Sabres. They're 7-10-1. Carter Hutton, I believe he is from Thunder Bay, Ontario, a city I lived in for 6 months back in the late 90s. And he'll face Anders Nilsson, who's in net for the Ottawa Senators. So, let's get back to this Ottawa Senators series, as well as the Minnesota Timberwolves series in NBA 2K. I'm going to have a couple of different types of episodes. First off, I'm going to have episodes that are simply condensed games. This will allow me to take you guys through the season game by game, so I won't have episodes that cover 3 games like this one did. The episode will just be a condensed game. I'm going to try to keep them under 10 minutes, preferably around 8 or 9 minutes. That way I can have more of each game without feeling like it's taking up too much of you guys' time. You know what I mean? Where I'm trying to squeeze in 3 games an episode here, basically all you're seeing is goals for the most part, and maybe one other play that didn't end in a goal. So I'm going to go game by game with a condensed game version that is about 8 or 9 minutes long, and it's going to show you a lot more of the game. You know, some odd man rushes that don't end in goals. I mean, we'll make sure we get all the goals in, but there will be a lot more to it, so you get a feel for the whole game a lot better than you do. This is basically highlights versus what I'm going to do next, which will be condensed games. And the first condensed game will be the next one after this episode is over against the Montreal Canadiens. And the other type of episode that I will do is I'm still debating on whether it's going to be a video that I chop up and talk in, or if I simply turn on my PlayStation and stream and get you guys' input and stuff and call it like a GM meeting type thing. So what we'll do in the second type of episode is we'll look at the league as a whole and see what's going on throughout the league. And B, we're going to look more in depth at our team and maybe go over, you know, like we might do a week or 2 of condensed games where it's only condensed games and y'all can follow along that way. Or if you don't really want to watch the condensed games, just wait until this second type of episode comes out, the GM meeting episode, and we'll cover kind of all of the condensed games that went in between the 2 GM meetings. You know what I mean? And we'll go over our player stats, injuries, our plan for the future, where we're at, the state of the team, where we want to be headed, that kind of stuff. And it might just simply be a stream where I turn on my PlayStation and get you guys on with me, and we just kind of go over where our team is at, and can get you guys' input on the direction we want to go. So it'll be a little bit more involved for my viewers and stuff that way. And you'll understand it as it gets going, but I hope you'll enjoy the condensed games. They're actually, I think, a lot of fun. I don't do commentary in them, but I did turn on the in-game commentary. So you will have the announcers and that kind of stuff, which makes it a little bit more exciting. Obviously, they're a little bit redundant, but so am I, in all honesty. I'm redundant as well. So those will be good, and I'll introduce that one to you up next after this episode, the condensed games. And then we'll do, maybe a couple of weeks, not in real life a couple of weeks, like a couple of weeks in our season of condensed games, and then we'll stop and just kind of rehash how those games went and where it puts us in our season and where we want to go going forward. We'll look at stats, player stats, stuff like that. We're going to do that in both this Ottawa Senators series and the Minnesota Timberwolves series that I have started in NBA 2K20. So I think it'll be fun in that one as well to do condensed games and then GM meetings, either streaming or videos where I go over stats and stuff, and then you guys can comment or whatever. So we are headed to the second intermission here in Detroit, all tied up with the Red Wings. We lost that last game against the Buffalo Sabres, and this is the final one of this episode. It's kicked down into the corner. They fight for it, and it is pulled out by the Senators, and we give it away. Struggling with the breakout, and this turnover ends in a Franz Nielsen goal for the Red Wings. Second goal of the season for him. The Red Wings take the lead by a score of 2-1. We got 39 seconds left in the game. Michael Bodker with it. And this one is taken away by the Red Wings, and they score on the empty net, and that will do it. The Red Wings with a 3-1 lead with 30 seconds. An empty netter. And the Red Wings get the win 3-1 in game number 21. Jimmy Howard, 26 saves. 1 goal against on the day. Franz Nielsen had 2 goals, and Anderson had 43 saves on the day. So again, too many shots. We're still working that one out. Still getting closer to where we want to be with that. So that is franchise episode number 7 of the Ottawa Senators. Up next, a condensed game. The Senators and the Montreal Canadiens here on the Moldy Cheese NHL Network.